Huh?
I'll bill you for it.
Oh my goodness. Hi! Oh, welcome back. Hopefully this is actually working. Let me find my iPad so I can keep a track on comments. But I'm here. I'm with Christina and Maney. We are talking about, my iPad is behind me, essential oils today. Guys, if you stuck around through our technical difficulties, you're not going to be upset. I'm really excited to have her here with me today. So let me go on over to Christina. You can see her down here in our corner. Christina, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Christina, and I am first and foremost a mom. I have 5 children. My kids range in age from 3 to 11. I am an essential oil user and lover, and I love to help other people get them into their lives so that they can also benefit from them. But I started off as a nurse, and I was extremely medically minded. I was not in the least naturally minded. I was a super, super, super big skeptic of anything natural related. So this is actually, it's been several years now that I've made the switch, but we've benefited so much from them. And I'm always excited to help, especially other moms and dads and their families turn to more natural and more effective means.
Nice. So started as a nurse, like,
yeah,
that's a big switch from nurse who's super skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
Switching over to essential oils. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Like where did that switch come from? Like what instigated that, all that?
Yep. So I actually, I grew up in a very medically minded household. I became a nurse and started off in just the med-surg unit. I worked there for a little while, and again, when I had patients come through that did anything or mentioned anything natural, I was very like, oh my gosh, this person's just being, crunchy granola. And I discounted anything and everything that was natural. And so then I started having kids. Well, no, then I started working in oncology actually, and I was administering chemotherapy. So that's about the most non-natural thing that you can do. So when I got married and we were expecting our first, I stayed home with our children. And by the time our third child came along, we were having a lot of things like ear infections, pneumonia, bronchitis. One winter we had them all back to back, and we were just sick all the time. We were in the doctor's office all the time. We were paying copays all the time. We were on antibiotics all the time, which of course then led to diaper issues and diaper rashes. And then I myself have some chronic health issues. So one of them being Lyme disease. And I didn't know it at the time that that's what it was, but I never felt well. I never had energy. I always felt horrible. I was always sick. And so I finally had enough with not getting anywhere. I had been to many different doctors, and they'd always just said, oh, you're just a mom to a couple little children and you're nursing, so you're tired. And I kept saying, that's not true. It's not, that can't be it. So finally I decided that was it. We were going to try that natural route. So one of the first things I did was I found essential oils online. And so I started watching a webinar about essential oils. And that webinar changed my life. So, yeah, we started using essential oils, and I will say we actually started with just kind of the random brands that you would find in the grocery store or online. And I kept reading about all these amazing success stories, and I was not having those amazing success stories. We would have some successes, but it wasn't consistent, and it wasn't the ones that I kept hearing other people having. So I actually kind of stopped using the essential oils and started just turning towards dietary changes and supplements and all of that, which did help. But about 5 years after I had originally been introduced to the oils, I was introduced to doTERRA's oils. And doTERRA is the company. And I finally decided, all right, I'll give it a try. I'll try them again. And I started using doTERRA's oils, and we had such successes time after time after time, consistently to the point where I just started turning to my essential oils first before I turned to anything else. So then essential oils became our life.
Wow. So when you say you started having successes, what's a normal like time frame? Like for somebody that is trying these out, what's a normal time frame for them to start to see some results from what they're doing? Because it's not an instantaneous thing usually, is it?
Well, it depends on what you're using it for. So something like if you have a cold or a cough, and you take an oil, like we have an oil blend called Breathe, and you rub it on your chest or you put a drop in your hands and you just inhale it, you can have an instantaneous effect. It can all of a sudden open your sinuses, open your respiratory system, and really help to calm that coughing feeling. If it's something that's more of a chronic issue where you're dealing with maybe some, chronic illness or more of a long-term type of thing, then it might take, a couple days or, a little bit longer to catch up. But essential oils work really fast. And so if it's something that's acute, it can work like really quickly. Oils get into your system within 20 seconds, and then they get into your bloodstream within 2 minutes, and they get to every cell of your body within 20 minutes. So that's even faster than most medications work, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So I just have so many questions. What is so they're oils, but it's not like they always say you have to combine it with a carrier oil. So they're not like a traditional, I don't know how to ask this question.
Yeah, it's not like an olive oil.
How are they made? Where do they come from?
Yep. So essential oils are actually from the plants. They're from the bark, the stems, the root, the flowers, all the different parts of the plants. And so if you've ever touched a peppermint leaf and you rub it on your hands and then you smell your hands and you can smell the peppermint, that's the essential oil from the plant. And so the essential oils are actually in like little sacs on top of, or, wherever it is in the plant. But so for the peppermint leaf, they're little sacs on top of the leaf. And so when you rub it, you're breaking those sacs open and you're getting the essential oil. So in order for them to get the oils, they distill them, and they either do like a steam distillation. So they steam the plant and it kind of releases the oils. Or you can have some oils are also like if you take the rinds of citruses and you cold press it, and you just they kind of squeeze the oils out of it. So the oils are actually the plant's immune system, and they're what protect the plant. And so we can use them as humans to help us with many, many, many different things. And they're so because of the way that they're formed and the chemical compounds inside each of the oils, they can actually get right up into your system, right up into your brain. They can go right through that cell wall in the middle of the cell. They can go through the blood-brain barrier. So they're very, very, very effective.
Okay. And that's okay that they go, obviously they do things, but you hear... when you hear about vaccines and they go through the blood-brain barrier, that's the only time I've heard that phrase used, and it's a bad thing.
Right.
So can you talk to that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So the blood-brain barrier, that's actually a really good question. So the blood-brain barrier is a barrier that kind of protects your brain. And so you obviously don't want bad things getting through there, which is why you don't want the chemicals or the heavy metals and stuff to get through into your brain. However, essential oils are, they're nature made, which of course doesn't always mean that they're perfectly, that something is safe just because it's natural, but these are safe. And by them being allowed to get through the blood-brain barrier, they actually can help things with increasing some of your neurotransmitters, which will help you to feel calmer or happier or be able to affect your brain in the way that it should be affected. And there are some medications out there that can cross the blood-brain barrier, and that's, they've been created to be able to do that because they're needed for that. But that's why essential oils are so effective for things like some more mental illness things or, brain health, because they can get through there.
Yeah. Okay, so do you ingest them like you do with medication? Like how do you recommend using them?
Yep, so there's actually 3 ways to use them. They're super easy to use, and actually I'll show you. So like here's a bottle of essential oil. This one is frankincense. So an oil like frankincense can be taken 3 different ways. You can either put them in a diffuser, and I should have brought my diffuser over, but we have them all scattered throughout our house, and they're in our bedrooms at the moment. What was that?
We have one going in the other room.
Oh, good. Yeah. So a diffuser is basically, looks like kind of like a little humidifier, and you can, pull the top off, put a little bit of water in it, and then just drop a few drops of the essential oil. doTERRA's oils are so potent that you only need a couple of drops, usually like 2 or 3 drops, to be able to really smell it and have an effect from it. So that releases them aromatically into the air. And then just like if you're baking cookies and you can smell cookies throughout the house, so when you have an essential oil going, even if you can't still smell it because you're in the room, you're still getting that effect. Those molecules are still getting into your system. And you can even just smell an oil right straight out of the bottle. And that's helpful, especially like if you're feeling nauseous or you're feeling tired or morning sickness or motion sickness. So just smelling it gets the molecules up into your brain. The second way to use it is by putting it on your skin. So most of the oils can be used directly on your skin. It's always a better idea to use something like a carrier oil. So carrier oil is like a coconut oil or like even olive oil, avocado oil, any of those thicker oils. And the reason you would want to use that is because it helps your skin to be able to absorb the essential oil better, and it also helps to spread it out over a larger area. So you don't have one drop, which is so potent, in one spot on your skin. You can kind of spread it farther so it's not so sensitive feeling. And then the other reason for using carrier oil is because oils by nature, the essential oils, are volatile, meaning that they evaporate. So by putting the essential oil in a carrier oil, it keeps that oil from evaporating off your skin so that you can actually use it. And so then the third way to use it is internally. So doTERRA does make their oils. They're super, super, super strict about their purity of their oils. I would never ever suggest just going and getting a bottle of essential oil from somewhere and taking it internally. The FDA does not regulate essential oils. So you could have an oil that says frankincense on it, and it could have maybe a teeny tiny little bit of frankincense in it, and then have a bunch of synthetics that smell like frankincense to make it cheaper. But doTERRA's oils are 100% pure. Every single batch goes through rigorous testing, so at least 8 different tests to make sure that not only is there no synthetics, they haven't been grown with pesticides or heavy metals or anything like that, but they also test to make sure that they're at the right potency level. So you can always be sure that their oils are pure and at the right potency level. So they can be taken internally. And 2 different ways that you could do that would be either putting a drop in your water, or you could put a couple drops in a veggie capsule and take them internally. Obviously, oils are very potent, so it's not something that you want to just kind of do willy-nilly. You would want to make sure you know what you're doing and consult somebody who knows their stuff about it.
Yeah. So, random tidbit about me. And this, when I first start saying this is not going to sound like it relates, but it really does. So stick with me. I started when I was breastfeeding. I started making my own deodorant because I found that regular deodorant didn't work for me. Like I was sneaky all the time. I know, really important information that you needed to know. But I use essential oils in my deodorant, which I didn't always. But I started to add lavender in because I like it. And then I don't know why it never occurred to me until recently that I could also make my own toothpaste. And you can use essential oils with that. And there's a couple different ones that are recommended for that. And that's like, that would be, I know eat your toothpaste, but you're still getting some internally. So totally random question. What do you recommend for using in toothpaste when I eventually get making it?
Yeah. So I would say probably the best one in toothpaste is actually, let me grab it here, On Guard. On Guard is our protective blend, and this one has clove in it, as well as some cinnamon, wild orange, eucalyptus, and rosemary. And so this is really, really good for oral health, but it's also super good for boosting the immune system. So when you're brushing your teeth, you are helping with the On Guard in your toothpaste. You are helping to freshen your breath. You're helping to boost the health of your oral cavity, and you're also boosting your immune system at the same time. So I don't think you can say that for most toothpastes on the market.
I'll let you know how it tastes because I'm going to do it.
Good. And doTERRA does make their own toothpaste with On Guard in it. So if you're not a DIY person, they do have toothpaste, and it is fluoride free. So.
All right. Question. Well, I just had another question and now I totally lost it. We're talking about toothpaste.
Ingesting oils.
Guard. Oh, I know my question. So we're talking about these as a way to help like take care of like, you know, colds and all that kind of stuff. And I read that you can also try it for things like strep throat. It could be an option to help with that before going to antibiotics. And I know antibiotics right now are just kind of in a weird place. I don't know. Like they can help when they're needed, they're needed. But oils can, for what I hear you saying, can essentially kind of replace the need for antibiotics in some cases. So I want you to answer that. And what about then probiotics, like your gut health? How do oils affect that, like antibiotics?
Sure. That's actually a really good question. So let's see, antibiotics. I cannot say that essential oils will replace antibiotics. So I'll just be clear right there. I have to be super careful what I say.
Right,
however,
I can't speak normal today.
No, that's fine. I have to be very compliant. But I can say that many of the essential oils, probably most of them, have antibacterial properties. And through many studies out there, they are showing that they are as effective, if not maybe more effective than antibiotics. The good thing about essential oils is when you use them to kill off a bad bacteria, you are, for the most part, most of the oils not killing off the good bacteria. So when it comes to your gut health, it's super important to have that good bacteria in your gut so that, you know, when you take an antibiotic, you kill off all of the bad bacteria and the good bacteria, and then it's kind of like starting from scratch again in your gut. So it's really important not to do that. So if you can try an essential oil first, which is also going to be a whole lot cheaper than going on an antibiotic, and the essential oils, literally, like they do have antibacterial effects. They've been shown to be very effective. In fact, my husband went to see his PCP recently, and the doctor was just saying, "Oh, so what's new?" And he said, "Well, you know, we're doing essential oils. You probably don't want to hear that." And the doctor said, "Oh no, I think they're great." He said, "You know, there's going to come a time when we're actually going to pretty much max out of our antibiotics because they're becoming these superbugs are becoming more and more resistant. And essential oils actually will not cause that problem." So he was happy to hear that. I was happy to hear that. So it's a great alternative to try. Obviously, you know, there's always a place for medicine and doctors, but if you can try something, and the best thing too is really to work on prevention. So if you can prevent that illness or prevent it from getting to the point where you need an antibiotic, then that's the best way to go. And then if you have the oils in your house on hand, then as soon as you start to feel like you're coming down with something, you start using your oils more, and then you can take care of it without having to, you know, wait until you've got a full-blown whatever.
Yeah. So I hear you talking about like when I say, oh, what cutting's my toothpaste? You instantly knew, like, oh, On Guard's a great alternative. But for somebody like me who doesn't sell oils, like, how do I find out what's good for what ailment? Like, for instance, when my kids get sick, I'm like, oh, these are their symptoms. So now what can I do to help them? Like ear infections, I know I can put garlic oil in their ear, things like that. But how do I learn what to use safely?
I'll show you how I do it. This is where I almost feel like I'm cheating when I do this, but it's so easy. Essential oils are not something to be scared of. Obviously, there's something to respect, but not to be scared of. And all you do is you get a book and you look in your book. So this is my go-to, Modern Essentials. There's also another, I call it my oil Bible. There's also another really good one out there. I think it's called The Essential Life? And it's also about essential oils. And this is not sold by doTERRA. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at aromatools.com. But they list every single oil and what the uses are for the oil and how to use it, whether you use it, internally. Let's see, where's the topically, aromatically, or internally. And then you can also look up the blends of oils. So this one would be the Women's Monthly Blend. And again, it tells you how to use it all and what's in it and why certain oils are in that blend. And then you can also look it up by ailment. And then this will say, what oils you could use. This one, just hematoma, helichrysum, and how to use it. So that's what I do. If one of my kids is sick or I'm sick, or even when a customer says, hey, what do I use for this? And I don't know it off the top of my head, I go to my book and find out what's the best oil for that. So actually, yes, there is. Yes. Yep. There's it's Modern Essentials app. I think it's like $6.99 and they have all of the oils in it. And I love when my customers have either the app or the book, because then it's so empowering. When you wake up at 2 in the morning and your child is throwing up and you're like, what can I do to help them feel better? Or they're complaining that their ear is hurting. It's so nice to have that resource to just go to and find. I also have a Facebook group for essential oil users where we share a lot of information. And whenever someone signs up as a customer with me, I always will do a complimentary 1-hour consultation and go through all of their oils and how to use them and, make sure. I don't want them to purchase them and have them sitting on their counter and not use them, because that defeats the purpose. So. You need some frankincense oil.
Oh my goodness.
Frankincense to the roof of your mouth helps with brain health and memory and concentration.
She's like a walking encyclopedia, people. Awesome. I'm going to get the app, and we will link to those, the book and the app and stuff, in the notes of this podcast. What is this? Live stream. And then, I know what I was going to ask. That book, what was it? The Modern Essential?
Yep, Modern Essentials.
So how do you know that that's accurate? How do they know that those are what they're good for, what's safe? And as a consumer, for me, now I know I can go to that. So I want to know why that's safe. And then how do I know what to avoid online? There's a lot of information. Go on Pinterest and look up, ways to help your kid with essential oils. But how do I know what's safe and what's not? Right.
So that's another really good question. And that's so important too. You don't want to just turn to the internet and find your information from just whatever source, because there definitely is information out there that's not correct and not safe. The book does have lots and lots of references in it to different studies that have been done and research that has been done. This one is also highly recommended by many essential oil gurus. And then when you go online, I think you just have to be mindful of who your source is and where they're coming from. And there's just some certain safety things to keep in mind. And then the other thing too is that what might work for one person, so someone could post a recipe and say for earaches, and say this really worked for my child, and you could try it on your child and think this didn't work for them. Everybody's body composition is different. So the oils on a whole, certain oils tend to be best for certain things. Like lavender is very calming on a whole. Frankincense is also very calming, but it's also really good for skincare. So, you know, there are certain oils that just automatically tend to be good for something, but just keep in mind that if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean that it might, you know, that essential oils don't work for you. It might just be that your body chemistry needs a little something different. Yeah. And so that's why it's also helpful to purchase your oils from someone who knows about them and can kind of guide you and say, okay, well, lavender didn't work for you to get to sleep. Let's try this instead, or let's try a combination of these.
Okay. Oh, so you bring a good point. You can combine oils.
Yes. Yep. So there are no oils that you can't combine. So it's not like if, you know, with medications, like don't take this medication with this medication. Any of the oils can be used together. There are certain oils that actually enhance each other or create a different effect if they're used together. So that's where blends come in. And so when I talked about On Guard is a blend of these oils. And so doTERRA has a group of like doctors and scientists who have studied them and figured out which oils to use together for a certain effect and what ratios to use. So they have certain blends already put together, like the On Guard. Breathe is another really great one. This one's really good for that cough or, you know, anything respiratory. But you can also take oils and blend them together yourself. So like if my head is bothering me, I will either use, so they have a blend for that called Past Tense. Or if that doesn't seem to be working, I will do frankincense and I will do lavender and I will do peppermint. Let's see. I must have my peppermint here somewhere. I have my oil bag out and peppermint. And I'll do the three of these together. And I'll either put a little bit of coconut oil in my hand and a drop of each in it, rub it together and just kind of put it on my temples, behind my neck. Or you can also get empty roller bottles and you can put the essential oils in there and fill the rest with fractionated coconut oil. And so fractionated coconut oil is just coconut oil that's in its liquid form. And then it has a little ball on the top and you can just, it's already set. So I'll keep it in my pocketbook and I'll just roll it on or roll it on the kids' ears if their ears are bothering them or tummy if their belly's hurting. So this one is Serenity and Frankincense. This is our go-to at night. It has Serenity, which is a blend for helping with sleep, and some frankincense because frankincense helps to kind of boost the effect of any oil. And that I'll just rub on the bottoms of the kids' feet at night to help them with sleeping. And I say feet because the bottoms of the feet are the most porous area of your body. And so they absorb oils the quickest. And that's a great way to get oils into your system.
Okay. Do you need to put socks on them after you put them on, or no?
If it's a baby or someone who's going to pull their feet and put them in their mouth, then I probably would throw socks on. Or if they're going to touch their feet and then touch their eyes, I would do that. If it's like myself or, you know, my older kids who won't do that, it doesn't really matter. Other than obviously you want it to absorb before you go walking on the floor so that you're not slipping all over the place.
Yeah. My kids are young enough that they would just like take off. Yep. So I've been doing it along their spine.
Yes. That's another great spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you OD on essential oils? Is that a possibility? Like, can you become immune to their effects?
So I wouldn't say that you can, well, actually, so yes, you could OD on them. You know, if you sat here and you drank an entire bottle of oil, which you probably wouldn't even be able to do because you would die with, you know, like just 2 drops in there. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. So yes, they do need to be respected. However, if you're using them reasonably and you're using like a couple drops a day, it's not going to be a problem for the most part. Obviously, if you have certain health concerns, check with your provider. They do have a recommendation. Let's see. trying to think off the top of my head how many drops it is. I can show you I can put a link on here after, and it'll say how many drops like total of an oil you can use topically per day or internally per day. And so, yes, that information is out there. And as far as oils not becoming effective anymore, that's a really good question. I have not had that happen to me. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. You can become sensitized to an oil. Like if you use the same oil over and over and over and over and over on the same spot, then your body can become sensitive to it, which is another reason you'd want to use coconut oil so that you're not having that problem. I haven't really seen it happen as much with the quality oils, the doTERRA oils. If you're using something with synthetics or isn't as good of a quality, that happens more often. But
okay. So let's change gears here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking a lot about like health and, personal kind of applications, but you can also get these for other things like cleaning in your house. Is that correct?
That's another beauty of essential oils. They're so versatile. So I could take On Guard and I could use it to boost my immune system. I could put it in the diffuser to clean the air. I can use it as a natural hand sanitizer. I can, and I do all of these. I'll fill up a bottle of water, just regular tap water, put a couple drops of On Guard in it, and I use that as my cleaner for my house. I don't use any of the chemicals anymore. So not only am I cleaning things, but I'm also boosting my immune system at the same time. And I'm not exposing myself or my children to chemical toxins. Which is also great because now I can have my kids go do the cleaning and not worry about them like inhaling all these chemicals and seep in through their skin. So yes, you can use them for cleaning. You can use them in your laundry soap. You can use them as a bug repellent. You can even use like peppermint is good to keep the mice away or the spiders away. You can use them in your cooking to flavor your food and get the health benefits from them. So they're very versatile.
I have never thought of cooking.
Yes.
With essential oils.
Yep. So, and they're potent. One drop of peppermint oil is equal to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So you want to keep that in mind when you're subbing them out. Like you don't want to go put a whole teaspoon of oregano in. One drop of oregano is going to be plenty flavorful. If anything, you might want to take like a toothpick and put it in the bottle and then just kind of swirl the toothpick around because they are very strong.
So here's a very practical question. So when I am using oils in any application, I'm trying to get like 1 or 2 drops, the diffuser or in one of the roller bottles or whatever. How do I only keep it to 1 or 2 drops? Because like, it's like they don't come out and then all of a sudden they're like, bloop, bloop, bloop.
Right. It depends on the oil too. Some oils are a little thinner, I guess you could say, and some oils are a little more viscous. So, I mean, all of the tops do have these little reducers. So if you hold it just right and you let it, drip out, usually you can get, the 1 drop that you're looking for. Sometimes an extra drop comes out and that's not really a big deal. They do also sell little droppers that you can, or like little pipettes that you can use so you can suck some of it up into there and then just squeeze out the number of drops that you want. I don't tend to do that just because I feel like then I'm going to waste whatever oil gets stuck inside the pipette. So, usually it's not too big of a deal. I do have one oil, vetiver, that is super thick. It's great for helping people sleep and be calm, but it is so thick that I do need to use a pipette to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in general, your advice is to be patient.
Yes.
I'm like, come on!
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Be patient. I can do that, I think.
And I think it depends on the oil and it depends on the brand and it depends on, the drops. So this is Breathe. Let's see if I can.
See, this is where I get really impatient and I'm like.
And then you have your one. So rub it in. This is what you need right now. This would help open your sinuses.
Like, come on.
I wish I could give it to you over the screen.
No. So we've kind of touched on this too, but I just want to make sure everyone's heard it. But like, oils are safe for everyone in your family.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
What if you're expecting?
Yep. Yep. So there's a lot of kind of fear around using essential oils with someone who's pregnant, someone who's breastfeeding, babies. The big thing is in diluting the oils. And when I say dilute, it doesn't mean that you're watering them down so they don't work. It's that you're, again, helping to spread that oil out so it's not so strong initially. So there's a really great midwife out there. Her name, Stephanie Fritz. This is her book. She goes by The Essential Midwife. She has a website, theessentialmidwife.com, and she wrote this book on essential oils for pregnancy, birth, and babies. She uses them all the time. She uses doTERRA's brand all the time on like brand new babies. She's actually a home birth midwife, and she's had amazing success stories, like including newborn being born like with failure to thrive and using frankincense on his head, and it like turned him right around. But she says as far as pregnancy goes, the only oil that she doesn't typically recommend using during pregnancy would be clary sage. And that's because it can cause the body to have contractions. And she says that she really feels like it's only if the body were going to have contractions, it would help push it towards that. But it would be a good one to use when you're like 41 weeks and you're really ready to have that baby. So that's as far as pregnancy goes. Obviously, in pregnancy or nursing, you're going to want to dilute the oils. You don't want to use the oils straight on your body. So use that coconut oil. With babies, especially like newborns up to a year, 2 years, you always want to dilute. Never put an oil on a baby without diluting first. And you want to do at least like 1 drop to 2 tablespoons of the carrier oil. And again, that's where the roller bottles are really handy, because you can just have it. Trying to find my roller bottle. You can just leave it in there. So you can put 1 drop of oil, fill the rest with coconut oil, and then just rub it on the baby. And you'd want to be careful that the oil you're not putting it somewhere where the baby could touch and then get in their face, or put it too close to their airways. Put it on the bottoms of their feet, put a little, footsie pajamas on them. And then as far as breastfeeding goes, one of the oils that you want to be mindful of is peppermint. Peppermint can, in some women, decrease milk supply. Not all women, but some women. So you'd want to be, careful and conscious of that. If that happened, you would stop using the peppermint, and then you could use something like a fennel to help increase the milk supply for a few days. And then let's see, again, with babies, there are oils that you would want to avoid with babies, especially the hotter oils. And there are charts out there that can give you that information, but something like an oregano or a clove or something like that, you wouldn't want to put on a baby. So you can use them from birth to hospice care.
All right. Nice. So, let's talk about one specific oil, because you just mentioned it. And my sister-in-law actually, I guess first I have a question, because I'm talking about oregano. And sometimes it's labeled as oregano oil, and sometimes it's labeled as oil of oregano. Are those 2 different things? And she uses that one a lot with her family. So just as an example, can you talk to us about what you would use oregano for and in what ways?
Sure. So that's a good question about oregano oil versus oil of oregano, and I don't have an answer for you. I just kind of think of them as the same thing. I know our oregano oil is just oregano oil. There are different species of different plants too, so maybe that has something to do with it. I was looking to see if I have my oregano oil in here, and I think it's in my kitchen. I don't see it here, but so sometimes it's different species of the plant or different parts of the plant. And And then as far as what is oregano good for, oregano, my number one use for oregano is for boosting the immune system and helping. So like if I start to feel sick, or if I've been exposed to, say, the flu is going around and I've been exposed to somebody with it, I like to do a combination of oils. I call it FLUME. It's an acronym, and that's for frankincense, lemon, oregano, On Guard, and melaleuca, which is also known as tea tree oil. And so I will do, for myself personally or my husband, so as an adult, I will do 1 or 2 drops of each of those in a little veggie capsule and take them internally once or twice a day, just while I'm feeling like I really need that support. For my kids, I'll put all of those oils in the diffuser, and we've been running that at night for the kids to try to boost their immune system. And, classmates have been getting sick, and so we're trying to avoid that. But oregano is also really good. It's a very powerful oil, so you have to be, careful with it. But it is a good one to try to use before resorting to maybe the antibiotics, because it is a real powerhouse oil. And I've also heard people use it in their chicken water, the water for their, if they have chickens, they're raising chickens. And I think that helps keep the chickens healthier. Mm-hmm. So.
Nice. So as a person who, I had chickens, we don't currently, but we do have goats and we have a dog. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about, animals and essential oils, especially because it was in the news recently.
Yes.
So yeah. I'll shut up.
There was a Facebook post that went around about a cat being exposed to essential oils. There have been several veterinarians who have come back and said, it depends on the oil that you're using, the brand of oils too. Of course, if you're using like some junky oil from, the store shelves, or that you bought online and you don't know what's in it, maybe it's not the actual oil itself bothering the animal, but it could be those synthetics that are bothering them. There are certain oils that are not safe for certain animals. I'm not an expert on that. I don't have any animals, so that's not one of my areas of expertise. I do know that something like a melaleuca, you want to be careful around with cats, and you wouldn't want to put it directly on a cat. I think from what I've heard, most animals, it's okay to diffuse the oils as long as you have a way for them to get out if they don't like that oil. Mm-hmm. So it's more in using them topically on the animal. And you can use essential oils on animals. In fact, what's his name? Caesar Milan. Oh. He has a video on, I think it's on YouTube, showing how he uses doTERRA's lavender oil on a dog, and you watch that dog calm right down. So using them for calming, using them for illnesses, as a bug repellent, essential oils are very helpful for animals.
Nice. All right. I know we have a bunch of people watching live too. And so I'm going to ask if anyone that's watching, if you have any questions for Christina about oils, let us know, and I'll pass those along to her, because we're not actually on Facebook.
Okay. Yep.
But we're not. I've got on a different device.
Okay.
So anyway, but as people are coming up with questions, if they want ask you any questions, I did want to ask first, is there anything else that we didn't cover today that you would love to share with us about oils, and something to be thinking about, especially for expecting mamas or, moms with small children?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So obviously you want to use caution, but I think the big thing is not to be afraid of essential oils. They are so useful. Don't not use them because you're afraid to use them. Reach out and get that help that you need so that you can use them. They have made such a difference in our lives, especially with children. When they have a cough or they have a cold, you can't give them much to help them. And so having oils on hand, especially having them on hand so that you have them when you need them, especially that 2 a.m., when they wake up and they can't breathe and nobody's going to sleep the rest of the night and you can't go to the doctors at that point. So, having oils on hand is great. Having the resources to know how to use them is great. And then I also like to just have people think about wellness on a whole, and think of it as kind of more of a wellness triangle than just, peppermint helps with your headache, or, On Guard helps with your immune system. Like, think of your life as a whole and kind of fitting in that wellness lifestyle, and how there's so much to being well. And you really want to try to target those different areas of wellness so that, you could be eating well and you could be exercising, but if you're not sleeping at night, you're not going to be well. So, and there's great ways to use essential oils and even just other natural lifestyle things to help maintain that natural triangle, that wellness triangle. And so I'm more than happy to answer questions if anybody wants to reach out and ask questions. I also provide complimentary consultations. I am located in Massachusetts. However, I do a lot of stuff virtually. I have customers and team members all throughout the country. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help.
Nice. So can I don't know if there's a possibility. I don't know if we'll know either. We link to your group. Like you said, you have a Facebook group. I don't know if that's just for clients or for anybody that's interested or whatever. Where you said you have a lot of, you answer a lot of questions. You talk about a lot of different uses. Mm-hmm. We can link to from here if people want to join.
Yeah, I'll have to double check. It's a closed group so that people can maintain some privacy. So I don't know if you can actually link to it or not. I'll try for sure. And if people want to join it, just reach out to me, let me know, and I'm happy to add them to it. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, I have just one more question. So far, no one's asked any questions, which I'm hoping and believing that means that we've just covered everything, because we're all. My last question for you is just, what's the most superficial thing about you?
Most superficial thing about me? Ooh.
That's some realness here.
I don't know. You got me on that one. I'm not a morning person anymore. I used to be, but I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
Kids, yeah. I'll stay in bed as long as I can, if I can.
I like to think that someday we will actually want to get up again,
right.
And go back to normal. I was a morning person too. I prided myself in that.
Yes.
I love to get up. I used to get up before my alarm when I worked out the home. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
I think about it and I want to, and I know my day will go better if I hop out of bed in the morning. But yeah, it doesn't happen as frequently now that I have kids. Although not willingly, I should say. We hop out of bed nice and early because we have to.
That's a good point. Good point. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Christina. This has been awesome. Sorry for all of the hiccups there at the beginning. And thanks for persisting through that. And hopefully we've answered lots of questions for lots of people. Again, Christina just said it too, but reach out to her if you have any questions. We will link to things like those books that she talked about and all the other stuff. Remind us if we forget something. So awesome. Thank you so much, Christina, and have a great Monday.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And I appreciate everybody who joined in and watched. So definitely reach out to me. I'll put my contact information in the comments.
Awesome.
All right. Take care. Have a good week.